Okay, first off, I'd like to preface this video by saying all of the events, people, and everything I'm discussing is purely fictional, hypothetical, and mere scenarios for educational purposes. I would also like to state that none of this advice is condoned. You shouldn't follow it. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a healthcare professional, I'm not a psychologist. And also, no one should do anything illegal, harvest anything illegal, and ingest any illegal substances. So with that out of the way, the purpose of this video is I'm just going to be discussing my experience of taking 7 grams of Psilocybe seborrheirosa, a species known as magic mushrooms. Reasons for doing this, I'm 29 now. When I took it, I was 27. It was about 2.5 years ago. I've done mostly magic mushrooms, apart from research chemical NBOME25I, which I really don't recommend because of its chemical composition. It's not natural, it's man-made, it's pretty toxic. Had a good and bad experience on that. As well as LSD and obviously, or not obviously, marijuana. But I decided to do this heroic dose of magic mushrooms based on people like advice and speakings and just basic interest from people like Terence McKenna, Kalindi Iyi, which is a African American dude who is known or said he did dosages of up to 50 grams of magic mushrooms, which, like, fuck me, I can't imagine that. But yeah, I was going through a lot of life changes and trying to heal in multiple ways at the time. My father was terminally ill with cancer, and it was probably maybe a couple of weeks, maybe a month before he died, that I took this, which seems like a really strange time to do a heroic dose, but when you're ready, you're ready. Sometimes things just call to you, and sometimes the scariest times are the best times to plunge ahead. By the way, this is chai masala. It tastes amazing. And yeah, so that year I'd gotten pretty heavily into looking for magic mushrooms and just educating myself on where to find them, habitat, this and that, getting really connected with nature, doing multiple trips out in nature. I was going through a big career change as well. And there was lots of things that I hadn't sort of come to terms with or properly healed. I have a history of just really bad relationships with my parents, which has caused a lot of mental health issues that I've been dealing with, repairing over the years. Yeah, I really didn't get a handle on them till the age of 27, if I'm honest. Most of from the age of like 19 to 27, 26, I was a very angry, very hate-filled person, on and off, depending on when I was doing psychedelics. Or you can do psychedelics, you can get better, and then you can lead your own life and let your ego grow and just believe all your own lies and society's lies and just get worse. Psychedelics are not the answer. It's not like you do a dose of mushrooms or ayahuasca and then everything's good for the rest of your life. It's a constant work. You are never enlightened, you are never a good person, you always have work to do, you are never flawless. And when we look at ourselves as flawless and when we think we've got it all put together and we become proud of that, that's where all the problem arises from. Like, and I'm making this video on a whim as well because I was just like, I've told lots of my friends about this experience on 7 grams, but never made a video about it. And as we're coming into the season of magic mushrooms here in SA, still a couple of weeks to go. uh, Given that we're going to get a lot of rain, maybe a month. But yeah, I just thought I'd start off the season with this little trip report. So yeah, my father was terminally ill with cancer. He was wasting away. I had gotten out of the line of work of factory work and warehousing and laboring, which I'd done for most of my life because I just didn't believe that I could do anything else. Didn't want to try, didn't believe in myself. And yeah, one evening, I set up a bed on the floor in a darkened room, ground up 7 grams of Psilocybe seborrheirosa, otherwise known as magic mushroom, soaked it in lemon juice to speed up the process of delivery. And I did it for healing purposes. I wasn't looking to meet God. I wasn't looking to see any fucked up shit. I'm quite terrified to see crazy shit. I've seen DMT like visions on NBME 25i. But yeah, it was just for healing purposes. So I took the cup outside, which contained the 7 grams of ground up mushrooms in lemon juice. Went outside, got down on my knees, said a prayer to the mushroom, set my intention, and just said, heal me, just heal me, And went inside, walked around, waited for it to kick in. And I do think that it kicked in within 5 to 10 minutes. Obviously, it's 2.5 years since the time I took it, so memory is a little bit hazy, but I have consolidated a lot of the things that I saw on that trip. But yeah, once I start to notice it kick in, went into the room, lied down on the bed, shut the door. I had the curtains blacked out with a sheet. My partner was next to me, and yeah, lied down, and the come up was very intense. Obviously, lemon taking 7 grams of Psilocybe seborrheirosa mushroom is going to be intense. As I said, lemon taking it, soaking in lemon juice for 15 minutes to half an hour is going to allow for a quicker absorption. And yeah, I lay down, and upon the advice of Terence McKenna, I was breathing and singing my way through the come up because it was just that intense. And when I mean breathing, I mean like this, like repeatedly. And it sounds dumb, but what I was singing was just hey, 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 just again and again and again at different rates and different melodies, just over and over again, breathing and singing that, because the come up was, it wasn't like I was dying. It was just like everything was changing. And yeah, obviously it was black when I closed my eyes, but there was a sensation of rushing, leaving my body, going into a world of blackness and grey outlines. My partner did a heroic dose that year as well. She's smaller than me and much lighter, so she only needed 3.5 or 4 grams, and she was seeing all the colours in the world. I saw no colours apart from black, grey and white, but maybe that's based on my intention, I don't know. I've seen I've seen colors in the early days of using marijuana. I've seen amazing imagery. But this one was not much color. But what I encountered, I can't remember when I encountered it, if it was quick or not. The whole experience really only lasted 2 hours, was I in that room. But I encountered this entity. I guess you say she was standing there just like this. She was black, completely black, outlined in grey and white. Her hair was tendrils of mycelium, like white tendrils and strings. From her arms, white tendrils came out, and from her feet. She had just black, lidless eyes, no teeth, a line for a mouth, a little nose. I guess you would say somewhat like a grey alien head shape, but not a bulbous head, but somewhat like a grey alien, although with a humanoid body, so not a feeble body. The shape of bosoms and vagina and everything, hips of a woman. And, whether that's because I'm more comfortable with a kind of female or motherly entity or energy, I'm not sure, but I encountered her. She was just standing there, didn't say a word, didn't speak. But we conversed just through, our thoughts. And some of the things which she told me was just to, in some sense, I'm always trying to overcome problems and help people. And I want to fix the world. I see a lot of wrong things in the world. And she basically, one of the things she said to me was, don't try to fix everyone and everything, and don't try to fight the battles of the entire planet, You need to look after yourself more, love yourself more, forgive yourself, as well as reconnect with family, and strengthen your relationships with family. I remember her calling me a dumb little monkey and saying, "Oh, you think you're so smart and this and that, but you're really just a dumb little monkey." But it wasn't like an attack. It was like I laughed, and I was just like, during the time I was speaking to her, I was just laughing, and tears of joy just rolling down my face repeatedly, just laughing. And my partner's very intelligent and wise, and she's one of the main reasons why at the time I was changing career and believing more in myself. And she's really the only reason that I was brave enough to do 7 grams in a darkened room. And it told me, she's smart, she's wise. You need to look after her. She knows best. You need to listen to her more. And I'm like, yes, I know, because one of the things of mushrooms combined with that's a bad way to put it, but I'm constantly looking and being made aware of the flaws in my own behavior and thought processes. And my partner will many times show me the error of my ways and get me to look at things in a different way and get me to better myself and change the way I behave. Because one thing that people are known for is just when we're faced with an alternate truth that threatens to destroy our sense of self and all our own beliefs and ideas, we initially want to reject those external ideas. And that's why I love mushrooms, because it constantly lowers your ego to the point where you can reassess who you are and what you do and the errors of your ways, and from that you can become someone else, someone better. So yeah, I just call this feminine figure, the goddess. And yeah, she just told me to love myself more. Oh, one of the things is a common theme. She gave me, it's almost like she emitted this intense unconditional love into me. It was such a beautiful feeling, you know, just intense love. And I was just rolling around on the bed laughing and crying. And the funny thing is, I didn't think about my dad once in the trip. Not once. And, but that whole experience did make me realize that it doesn't matter. It's not, unless someone is like a child or a baby, or they have their life cut short, death is not a tragedy for the person dying. They're going somewhere else. Their soul is going somewhere else. It's only a tragedy, and it's only sad for people that miss that person. And that experience definitely showed me that a lot of the reasons we grieve are for selfish reasons, because we want that person to stay. We want them for ourselves. Uh, but for the person who's dying, the soul goes on somewhere else. It may not be a better place, it may not be worse, but it's somewhere else. I remember asking, because in that trip I had the ability to ask this goddess any question I liked, obviously. And I almost asked it the meaning of life, but then I retracted. I was like, no, don't tell me the meaning of life. I cannot handle such information. Because I truly believed that anything I asked her, this entity would give me the answers to. I remember asking her, how do we save the planet? How do we heal the planet? What's going to become of the planet and nature? And without saying it or without being English, I just got this sense that, or this notion that nature, the planet, doesn't really give a fuck what we do to it. Especially mushrooms. Mushrooms don't give a fuck what we do to the planet. The only one that's going to suffer from the destruction of nature is humans. If you destroy nature, we will inevitably die, unless we can go off and terraform Mars. But if we destroy nature right now, if we destroy the planet, we're all going to die. Whether we level every inch of life on the globe with nuclear war, within 1 billion years or so, or less, I don't know, nature will grow again. Or if we even do destroy the Earth, there's other habitable planets. There's other planets containing life. Probably infinite amounts of life out there in the galaxy, in the universe. So it doesn't matter. We need to look after nature for ourselves. It's our home. It's the best home we know of. It's our only home that we know of. In the same trip, I had this sense of, and it was all in black and white, black and white and grey, which is kind of shit. I would have loved some colour, but I just had this sense of flying over the world, bodiless. Not just a sense, I could see the world. Anywhere I want to look in the planet, I could sort of see. And I could see people building skyscrapers and bridges and so on and so forth. And I saw all these people doing this business around the world, and I just looked at it as, we're just intelligent yet dumb technological monkeys just running rampant, doing our crazy shit, man. And I guess you would say it was a liberating experience, feeling or seeing that. It was eye-opening. Oh, and on eye-opening, during the most intense part of the trip, when I was speaking to this entity, I opened my eyes for like 1 second, maybe less, looked at my partner, and I don't know if it's because of she's of Indian descent, Indian ethnicity, and the elephant god Ganesh, I think it's called. But when I looked at her, she had an elephant trunk and elephant ears, and she was basically a humanoid elephant. And after seeing that for half a second, I closed my eyes immediately, because that was just way too much to take in. It was not terrifying, just like, oh my fucking god. And then I went back into the trip. So yeah, I met the goddess, this goddess, spoke to her. She gave me feelings of love, told me to love myself more, um, told me to, reconnect with family, the importance of family, not worry about every problem in the world, look after myself more. Um, Showed me things about the world, told me things about, nature and the state of the world, and it doesn't matter if it's all destroyed. You don't have to mourn for it. You don't have to mourn nature being destroyed. But not that you can't mourn nature being destroyed either. Like, it's just that, like, cataclysms have destroyed life on this earth multiple times, and it rises again, just like death, And I guess that ties into the whole death thing. Like, death is just the birth of life, of new life. But I came out of that trip, and I guess I had this notion. No, it was definitely strengthened. Like, after this trip, I truly believed, and do to this day believe, in an afterlife. Or maybe afterlife is the wrong word. Just that consciousness, the soul, our energy goes on somewhere. I don't know about reincarnation, but something else. I have no real defined beliefs. Just that there's something else, and just that this reality is only one of the realities. After about 2.5 hours or 2 hours in that room, I needed to pee really badly. I was drinking water throughout the trip, and my partner had to help me up because I sort of lost control of my spine. It wasn't like wood lover's paralysis or anything. I can always move on mushrooms, but I didn't really know how to orientate my body. And yeah, she had to help me up, guide me to the door, and I took a big piss, and the room was, wobbly. And I went out to the kitchen, had a drink of water, and was just laughing. And I think my face froze for about a minute. Like, I was laughing, and I was like, and apparently my face just froze, and as well as that, my hands kind of wanted to do this. Like, they just wanted to freeze up, like lock up, like little claws. At which point my partner thought that I'd kind of cooked my brains. She was a bit worried. And then, coming out, the hardest part about that trip actually was coming out of that room and lying on the couch next to the dog and just looking at the dog as if he's like, because this dog we have, he's an American Staffy, a beautiful temperament. He's taught me so many things, this dog, which sounds funny, but like, he's one of the most patient, loving, empathetic dogs I've ever met. Like, this dog will go over and just sit with old people, or go over and sit with a bunch of mentally handicapped people and just chill with them. And like, he defends little dogs in public. And I used to be like way too hard on him growing up because he's got a really strong bite power. So I wanted to make sure he was disciplined so he didn't bite someone else or another dog. And I used to whack him and yell at him too much. And because I saw my father do that, whip our dogs and this and that. But he's taught me to trust him more, and just be a more loving, caring owner, and not resort to violence, and not resort to tough love or harsh scoldings. Just doing what's necessary, So I looked at, like, coming out of the trip, I looked at this dog, his name's Bjorn. I looked at him and I was just like, as some kind of teacher, and I just hugged him on the couch, just cuddled him, as I was slowly like drifting back into this reality. For a while I was quite terrified when I saw some lights coming on the backyard, because I'd done such a high dose, and I came down for about an hour after, or half an hour, 40 minutes, came down. It was actually quite a quick experience, 2.5 hours of intensity and like 40 minutes of come down. But the light in the backyard that came on, I thought was my mother coming in the driveway. Like I thought my partner had called my mum and said, come help. Josh has done too many mushrooms. So that kind of freaked me out for a little bit because my parents have always had a uneducated fear and an uneducated fear and distrust for all substances. But I realized eventually that she wasn't there, and slowly came to. And I remember sitting out on the front porch having a J with my partner, and just being like, wow, what a fucking trip, man. And I truly felt reborn and purged of so much negativity and so much held in things. And the weeks following that, I guess you would say were confronting in the sense that I had to like spoon feed my dying father, who had wasted away from 100 kilos to like 50 kilos. Just a skeleton in skin. And I had told him that I loved him and me and my brother would look after our mum. And yeah, I remember the night he passed. I went in with my mother and brother, and I stayed there till like 3:30 in the morning, knowing he was going to die, saying goodbye. At 3:30 in the morning, I left because they say people hold on. Those who are dying hold on because they can sense people are around them. So I left my mother sleeping next to him, and when I got home at around 4:30, I got the call that he had passed. And I just remember rejoicing and crying tears of happiness because he never really wanted to do chemo because the doctor gave him a pretty poor chance of survival. And I think he more so did it, because my brother and my mother wanted him to do it. But maybe also a way of just showing his sons the heroism in like just fighting, even if the odds are stacked against you. Just try anyway. Maybe it's like a parting life lesson. Because my father was someone who would never give up. But yeah, I remember just rejoicing and being so thankful and happy for him that his suffering was over, and because he'd lived a good, rich, adventurous life. He died young, 63, but I just rejoiced, and his soul was going on. His soul was going off to somewhere else. He's going to experience another reality, another life, whatever that is. Or just join their ancestors in the DMT realm, I don't know. But yeah, one of the huge benefits to that is I have a much different relationship and view of death and the soul going on, and I don't look at death as something negative. There are, obviously cases where murder and, people dying too young or innocent people dying, having their lives cut short, that's obviously a tragedy. But I don't look at, I have a different relationship with death. Also I'm grateful for life much more. Because I know this is only temporary. And there might be something else, maybe something better, but you should just make the most of what you have. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's pretty much my experience. So I hope you guys found that fictional scenario somewhat helpful.